So, good morning. So, in this lecture, I'm just going to be discussing the organization of life. So, basically, we believe that biology is what is the study of what of life, anything that has life. So that's what basically biology deals with, and then we at the same time knows that the things with life in them, we refer to them of as living things or organisms. Then that's just what biology is dealing with. And at the same time, these things that has life in them, these organisms, they they have their characteristic features, she gets, which is the Mr. Niger lack. Although it's possible that the one you know is Mr. Niger D, but because biology does not study death, so we just replace it with lack. The lifespan, adaptation, and competition. You understand what I'm trying to say? So the organization of life basically is just like, okay, let's bring it from the word organized, she get. So imagine a market without organization. Okay, in the market you will have different sections for maybe this section they are selling pepper, this section they are selling rice and all. That's organization. Imagine the world without organization. In the world now we have different words, different continents, about 7 continents. In each continent we have what different countries. In each countries we have different states. In each state we have different local governments like that. So that's organization. So then life, as regards to biology now, it also has its own organization. So that's what we are going to be discussing here. And it's quite something easy to comprehend. So let's just move together. So the introduction. So I said let's imagine the world without organization. So for an organism to be fully formed, before you can have an organism as a whole, shey you get, there are different things that comes together to form that organism. In this case, I'm referring to the multicellular organism. Okay, so atoms from chemistry they come together. When atoms come together, they form what we call what molecules. Molecules comes together to form macromolecules. The macromolecules are basically you have just four macromolecules: the carbohydrate, the lipid, the proteins, and the nucleic acids. Nucleic acid as in DNA and RNA. Okay, then these macromolecules comes together to form organelles. For example, your ribosome is made up of what? Proteins and basically nucleic acid. You get my point. So then those organelles now come together, different organelles, different functions, they come together to form what we call what? The cell. Shall you get? We have organelle like the cell membrane, the cell wall as in plants. You have the cytoplasm, cytoskeleton, the cytoplasm containing the cytosol and other cell organelles, the nucleus and all. Those are cell organelles that forms a what? A cell. Then different similar cells, basically similar cells with similar functions and structure, they come together to form what we call tissues. So then tissue comes together to form organs. They perform almost the same functions to form what we call organs. Then organs comes together to form what? System. Some people refer to it as organ system. Then this system now, different system in human body now comes together to form what we call what? A whole organism. And then look at a whole organism without respiration. That's the system. Digestion, that's the system. Reproduction, that's the system. Urinary system. All those systems, they forms what the whole organism. That's just the idea there. Then if you're not to take it further, because organization does not end there, different organisms at a particular time forms what we call what? Population. They have the same species, please note that. Then we are still going to discuss the species, the classification of a thing in the next class. So different organism forms what we call the what? The population. Then population comes together to form community. Then when you have different population of different things, you have community. Then community comes together to form what we call the ecosystem. The ecosystem forms the what? The biome. Then biomes comes together to form what we call the what? The biosphere. That's the organization of life. From the chemical level to the cellular level then to the what? The ecological level. Let's move on. The chemical level of organization now, that's when we discuss the atom, molecules, macromolecules, then to organelles. I've explained that you know what atoms are. Atoms of elements, you know when atoms combine chemically they form molecules. If molecules combine chemically polymerization to form macromolecules. Then macromolecules forms what the organelle. This is what the chemical level of organization. When we are looking at it what chemically. The first part is what chemical level, then this next part is where we now come to the what? The cellular level of organization. So for the cellular level of organization, basically, there's no issue with it. That's where you are describing a cell coming to form tissue, tissue forming an organ forming a system. Or you can also call it the biological level of organization. That also makes sense. You have the chemical level and the biological level. So different organelles comes together to form in function and structure to make a cell. If you have mitochondria, it has its own structure and its own function. You have the nucleus, its own function and its own structure. The ribosomes, function, structure. All those guys with their functions and their structure forms what we call the what? The cell. So the function of a cell comes from its organelle. Okay, for example, um, you have although most cells basically they kind of contribute to what the whole system or the a particular organ will be doing. But imagine a cell that is rich in mitochondria. You will know that that cell is actually working a lot in producing energy. Do you get my point? So the organelle present in one cell differs from the other cells. You cannot compare a neuron, which is a nerve cell, to an hepatocyte, which is a liver cell. You cannot compare a myocyte, which is a muscle cell, to nephron, which is what the unit of your kidney. Do you get my point? So that's the idea there. Then some cells are rich in one organ compared to another. In one organelle, basically, let's note that some cells are rich in one organelle more compared to another cell. You cannot compare. Just like I said, the mitochondria in sperm cells, you don't expect to have that kind of same mitochondria in egg cell that is only just moving from the what? From the from where it is reproduced in the graphic follicles down to the what? To the fallopian tube. It is not moving so much distance. But imagine a sperm cell that needs to travel, let me just call it miles. Do you get my point? So that's that for that. So organelles are made as a result of combination of different macromolecules, carbohydrate, protein, lipids, and nucleic acids. Okay, let's move on. Organelles of a typical cell. Okay, we have the following organelles: the cell membrane, which is the barrier. In fact, they call the cell membrane the integrity of a cell. Why do they call it the integrity? It controls what comes in and get out of the cell. Okay, when I say integrity of something, we tell you that my integrity, I'm trying to maintain my integrity. I don't want to spoil my face. She get my point. So the cell membrane is kind of the integrity of a cell. If it allows, oh, I don't take this shit. I take this one. I don't allow this. I allow this. That's the cell membrane. It controls what enters or leaves a cell. The cytoplasm, that's the bulk content of the cell. In fact, some people we have to break the word cytoplasm down. Cyto means cell. Some people call the plasm stuff. So they call cytoplasm cell stuff. So anything that is related to the cell is the cytoplasm. So biologically, you can refer to the cytoplasm as everything in the cell minus the nucleus. Some people they don't really consider nucleus as part of the cytoplasm. Where in some cases, actually, in physiology, medical physiology, they refer to nucleus as also part of the cytoplasm. But basically, for your level, cytoplasm is just the whole content of the whole cell minus the what minus the nucleus. Then you have cytoskeleton. Those are you have what skeleton in human beings. Then we have the nucleus, we have the ribosomes. We are going to look at these guys one after the other. Endoplasmic reticulum, Golgi bodies, vacuoles, lysosome, peroxisms. It is not perisosome, peroxisms. Let's know that. Then mitochondria, centrosomes, and centrioles. These are the most kind of important ones that we need to treat. If any comes to my head during the lecture, I will, and it's very important, I will definitely speak about it. Okay, let's start the cell membrane. So the cell membrane is also called the plasma membrane, also called the plasma lemma. Plasma membrane or plasma lemma. So if they say plasma lemma, they're also referring to the what? the cell membrane. If they say plasma membrane, it is still the cell membrane. So this is found in cells and separate the interior of the cell from the outside environment. You get what that means already? The cell membrane consists of phospholipid bilayer that is selectively permeable. The word selectively is very, very important. Your essential textbooks and some other textbooks will use the word semi-permeable. So I think, oh, in the second lecture, I explained what permeability is. So when you are talking about permeability, you are talking about the extent or the extent to which a particular membrane allows for the passage of something of materials. Let me put it that way. So if it does not allow it at all, you say it is not permeable to that thing. If it allows it to some to very little extent, you say it is semi-permeable. If it allows it very well, it is what permeable. But selectively permeable means it selects what enters. That means the cell membrane can be very, very permeable to some things, can be non-permeable to some things, and can be semi-permeable to some things. I don't know if you get my point. Selectively permeable does not mean it is semi-permeable. In the sense of, for example, CO2 and oxygen, they enter the cell anyhow. Oxygen enters the cell anyhow. CO2 leaves the cell anyhow. The cell does not really restrict it that way. So it is what? Very permeable to it. In the other sense, water. Water should not be entering the cell anyhow. Water should not be leaving the cell anyhow. It is controlled. Shey you get? So that means for water now, it is what it's kind of it is kind of semi-permeable to it. Another thing, looking at ions. Some ions are not allowed to enter the cell at all. That means it is not permeable to them. Some toxic materials are not supposed to be allowed to enter the cell. It is not permeable to them. Do you get my point? So selective permeability refers to the cell membrane being kind of, it's like a property of it selecting what will enter or leave the cell. It selects. It is not semi-permeable. Please note that. But in the case whereby maybe the examiner does not also know about this info, if what you have in your option is semi-permeable and selectively permeable, that means the answer will be selectively permeable. But if there is no selectively permeable, you go for semi-permeable. Okay, so the cell membrane regulates the transport of materials entering and exiting the cell. I explained that already. That's not about cell membrane. Coming to this next guy, the cytoplasm. Cytoplasm is the gelatinous liquid that fills the inside of a cell. The liquid you have in the cell actually plus the what? The cell organelle is composed of water, salt, and various organic molecules. The cytoplasm is also considered to be all the content of the cell aside the nucleus. Note that. So the cytoplasm can be divided into two. The cytosol. So the cytosol of the cytoplasm refers to the fluid part, the fluid content of it. It is thicker than water actually. Shey you get? So the fluid part of the cell is what is the cytosol. If you remember your chemistry very well, the sol refers to something kind of jelly like. You get my point? Then so cytosol, the cell sol, that's the idea. Then the cell organelles aside the nucleus. Okay, the cytoskeleton now. Cytoskeleton basically they are just what skeleton of the cell. And you know what skeleton does? It gives support, shape, strength, and every other guys to the what? To the cell. That's the work of what? The cytoskeleton. So it gives shape, protection to the cell, and it's divided into three. We have three kinds of what? Cytoskeleton, depending on their size actually. So the first one is the what? The microtubules. They are very big. They are the bigger ones. We have the intermediate filaments. They are what? In between, intermediate. Then we have the microfilament or actin filament. You can see that from the picture. So what they do is that okay, they tell you that the nucleus of some cell is at the center. Why is it not shifting to the side? It's because of the cytoskeleton. The skeleton holds it there. Do you get my point? They're coming to the nucleus. The nucleus basically is just referred to as the what? The control center. The central unit. I think that yeah, the central unit of the cell. The nucleus basically is kind of just kind of like coordinating the activities of the cell. It is the one that contains the genetic materials that di- that kind of dictates how a whole organism as a whole looks. Shey you get? So almost don't forget when they say cell is the what? basic structural and functional unit of all living organisms. They are not joking. The cell determines everything about a living organism. The function of a living organism, okay, respiration and everything, is coming from what? Cells. That's the idea. So nucleus basically contains, it's like just it is the control center, the control unit, the central unit of the cell, because it contains chromosomes that base what? Genetic material. Genetic material in the sense that, okay, the mother looks like the child, all those stuffs. Everything about the mother going to the child is from what? From the nucleus. So the nucleus is also the major structure that divides cells into two types: the prokaryotic cells and the eukaryotic cells. Prokaryotic cells, they have what? The prokaryotic cells, they do not have a well defined nucleus. Their nucleus, it's not just nucleus that is differentiating them though, but it's part of it. So they do not have a well defined nucleus. Instead of their nucleus having membrane, a double membrane, in fact, it is not even having any membrane at all. But the cytoskeleton are keeping the genetic materials in a region of that cell, which is called the nucleoid. Shey you get? So then for the eukaryotic cells, there is what? A defined nucleus with what? Double membrane. So then there's also a darkly stained region in the nucleus, referred to as the nucleolus. This is where synthesis of RNA and ribosomes kind of occur. The nucleus controls the activities of the cell. I've explained that already. Then the ribosomes. Don't forget where they are coming from the nucleus. Ribosomes are produced inside the nucleus. Then they pass through the nuclear membrane, the membrane of the nucleus in eukaryotic cells now. It has pores, the nuclear pores. So it is through those nuclear pores that the ribosomes will come out. So the ribosomes basically, they are produced from the inside the nucleus. So you get, and is an intercellular structure made of both RNA and protein. So you get, right? That's ribosomes, and it is the site of protein synthesis in the cell. That's the major function of what? Ribosomes. The site of protein synthesis. So ribosomes reads the messenger RNA. This might be kind of advanced for you. Well, the 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 steps in what making protein is kind of just maybe, it's not just maybe safe now. It's like just two: the transcription and the translation. The transcription is just kind of you duplicating your what? Well, maybe you forming RNA from what? From DNA. And that RNA you formed will be that's the mRNA. It is carrying some information. Then you take it to the ribosomes where translation occurs. Then the ribosomes now start reading the information to produce protein. So they do not have membrane. They are non-membranous. That means anything that is non-membranous is also found in prokaryotic cells. That means ribosomes are also what? Found in prokaryotic cells. You see that already? They are produced by the nucleus. They function in protein synthesis. They are the site of protein synthesis. Moving to the next. The endoplasmic reticulum is a large, okay, this is the endoplasmic reticulum now. Endoplasmic reticulum. So endoplasmic reticulum basically is just, no, don't forget, they are they are kind of closer to the nucleus, in the sense that when you look at them, it is the outer membrane of the nucleus that forms endoplasmic reticulum. It is not like, no, I cannot say it's a distinct organelle of its own. It is like a continuation of the nuclear membrane. So it helps in calcium storage. That's when you get to muscles, you call them sarcoplasmic reticulum. Then they also help in protein synthesis. There is a reason for that. So basically, the endoplasmic reticulum is divided into two: the smooth endoplasmic reticulum and the rough. Don't forget, they are very close to the nucleus. That means if ribosomes are leaving the nucleus, they can easily get contact with the what? With the endoplasmic reticulum. So the part of the endoplasmic reticulum closer to the nucleus will get rough if the ribosome attached to them. Then the one that are far away from the nucleus, those are the smooth. They are not, ribosomes are not getting attached to them. This means smooth endoplasmic reticulum and the rough endoplasmic reticulum, they are not two different endoplasmic reticulum. They are not kind of separated. They are two, it's just like human body. Some part of human body is having air, while the other part are not having air. That's also the basic idea behind endoplasmic reticulum. Some part of it is having ribosome, which makes it rough, while the other part is smooth. So the part that has ribosome is the site of protein synthesis. That means they help in what? Protein synthesis. While the other side that is smooth, they are for what? Um, lipid synthesis, cholesterol, and steroids. The Golgi bodies. So the Golgi body is also known as the Golgi apparatus. It helps in majorly three things: packaging of macromolecules. The Golgi bodies are also next to the endoplasmic reticulum. So what is their function here now? The endoplasmic reticulum is producing proteins or maybe carbohydrates. Then they pass it across to the Golgi bodies for what? For packaging, for sorting, and for transportation. So the Golgi bodies package, they sort, kind of arrange, they transport. That's the function of Golgi bodies. How do they transport? They form vesicles. Look at the diagram there. You can see those vesicles. She get, they are transporting what? Some stuffs. So the transport can now be what? Within the cell, or they take it to, we need this thing outside the cell. So they can transport outside or transport within the cell. That's that for Golgi bodies. Then vacuoles. Vacuoles basically are just kind of single membranous. They have membrane bounded, but it's just a single layered membrane. She get, for unlike nucleus that is what? Double membranous. So in animal cell, vacuoles are generally small, and in fact, in some cells it is absent in some animal cells. But in plant cells, where we need turgidity, where we need water inside the cell, you have what? Larger vacuoles. So in plant cell, vacuoles help maintain water balance. That's one of the function of vacuoles. Another thing to note, the the membrane of the vacuole is called tonoplast. Don't forget, membrane of the nucleus is nuclear membrane. Membrane of the vacuole is a very, very popular JAMB question. It's called what? Tonoplast. Tonoplast. Let's note that. This is to say that their function is really to handle waste products, and by handle mean take in waste product and also get rid of waste product. They handle in the sense that they take it in, like maybe um vacuoles will take waste product inside the cells and then take it out. Some people even refer to them as what? Mini lysosomes. Basically, we are going to get what I'm trying to say in the later slides. So lysosome and peroxisms. I decided to discuss these two guys at once. Lysosome also refers to as suicide bag of a cell. Suicide bag in the sense that, in fact, if if a cell is dying, the organ that will die last is the lysosome, because most of the time it's the lysosome that is killing the cell. It is now after the lysosome is done killing the cell and it does not have anything to survive again, then it also dies. Do you get my point? So they call it suicide bag. The content of the lysosome must not leak into the cell. You will just it will just result into what we call ricochet of catastrophic cataclysm. That may be a very, very big grammar. It's actually very correct, but it just means voila, like the lysosome will start digesting the cells. All the content of the cells will start kind of dying. That's what called lysosome. So, but lysosome is, the people also call it the um incinerator. Like, you know what that means? Like, where you dump toxic materials, waste products, for kind of to break it down, to do a lot of damage, just break them down to render them useless. That's what called lysosome. So the lysosome are roughly spherical bodies enclosed by a single membrane, and they are formed by the Golgi bodies. Another very important thing, they are formed by the Golgi bodies. I think I put that down. So, but for peroxisms are not formed by Golgi bodies. Let's note that the peroxisms kind of they are formed from the endoplasmic reticulum, while lysosomes are from the what? Golgi bodies. Note that. So that means they are both vesicles. Those vesicles you see in the last slide I was showing you, these guys. Um, these guys, these small vesicles here. Where are you? These guys. They are they can be either be maybe the lysosome. If it's from Golgi body, you know it's lysosome. If it's from endoplasmic reticulum, you know it is what? Um Peroxisome. So that's that for that. So for lysosome now, you know the function. But then for peroxisms, peroxism is just basically to neutralize, to render hydrogen peroxide useless. Hydrogen peroxide is very, very poisonous. So hydrogen peroxide in some cases is formed as a result of metabolisms in the what? In the cell. So all these hydrogen peroxide form, we need to what? Detoxify them. So what the Peroxism will do is that take the hydrogen peroxide and then split it into water and oxygen that the cell will even need. That's the chemical reaction in the cell. That's just that about that. Let's note that. So breakdown of hydrogen peroxide, a potentially dangerous product of fatty acid oxidation. It is catalyzed by the enzyme catalase. Please note this catalase. Okay, so that's that about that for lysosome and peroxisms. Lysosome for what? Toxic materials and um lysosome works based on reduction. Peroxisome will work based on what? Oxidation. Let's note that too. In fact, they will say reductase enzymes. Let's note that. Then for the mitochondria, don't forget the lysosome is the suicide bag of a cell. So mitochondria is what? The powerhouse of a cell. So mitochondria being the powerhouse of a cell is just kind of the one giving the cell power, producing energy that the cell needs. That's the work of the mitochondria. You could let me say producing energy, produces the major ones because energy are also produced in the cytosol of the cytoplasm. So you get that by glycolysis. But the energy there is just in fact during glycolysis, the cell uses 2 ATP but produces 4 ATP. That means the thing it produces just like it produces 2 ATP. Do you get my point? But the major production of energy occurs in the mitochondria. Shey you get? So and that's through a process called respiration. Respiration, okay, we are going to discuss that in the later slide. Respiration is a process where energy is the major product we need in respiration is energy, which now occurs in the cell, and that's in the what? By the help of the cell organelle called what? Mitochondria. So the mitochondria has two kind of structure or is divided into two, the matrix and the what? And the cristae. So the matrix of the mitochondria helps in what? It functions in Krebs cycle. Krebs cycle is also kind of part of what? Respiration, which we kind of the of glycolysis will convert your glucose into pyruvate. Then Krebs cycle will now convert the pyruvate into kind of it's a cycle trigger that occurs continuously. So it's just the use of those pyruvate. I don't want to go very deep. So the use of that pyruvate to now generate a lot of energy is by what? Is by Krebs cycle. And that occurs in the matrix of the mitochondria. Mitochondria is double membranous. It has two membrane. So the outer membrane, the inner membrane. So the folding of the inner membrane forms the cristae. So the space between the inner membrane and the outer membrane is the matrix. So in the matrix, we have the what? The Krebs cycle occurring there. Then in the cristae, we have the electron transport chain, etc. So electron transport chain is like, okay, for example, in glycolysis and and Krebs cycle, we produce some I don't some substances. Let me not kind of scare you guys. So all those substances we can produce energy from them. She gets so they go into the electron transport chain for us to get energy. Those guys like NADPH, FADH, and all. That's that for that. The electron carrier basically sharp. So mitochondria contains their own small chromosomes. Very important. Don't forget in the nucleus we have what? The genetic materials. Mitochondria has its own genetic materials too. The chromosomes you get. So uh if you are to reason this, don't forget during fertilization, the only thing that mixes that comes from the sperm into the egg is kind of the nuclear content. The content of the nucleus of the what? Of the sperm mixed with the content of the nucleus of the egg. But the cytoplasm of the egg is what actually like all the cytoplasm of the zygote formed is coming from just the mother alone. I don't know if you get my point. The only thing that the father just contributed is the what? That the sperm contributed is just the what? Is just the content of the nucleus. Do you get my point? So that means you can say that the the mitochondria genetic material is coming from Una, the mother, which is the egg. That's that for that. So the centrosome and centrioles. So these guys are just basically I don't want to scare you guys a lot about it. So okay, let's just quickly read through this. Centrosomes are built from a cylindrical array of 9 microtubules, each of which has attached to two partial microtubules. So your centrioles in the sense that they are the ones that form the flagella and the cilia. And the structure of the flagella and the cilia is the 9-2 relay structure. In the sense of we have 9 pairs of microtubules forming like a circle. Then you now have two microtubules, like one pair of it in between them. That's the structure of the flagella. See? So and that's coming from the centrifuge. Okay, so when the cell enters the cell cycle and pass through this S phase, each centriole is duplicated. A daughter centriole grows out of the each side of the parent in the brackets mother centriole, the parent centriole. It's just like a centriole is going to form two centrioles. Then the centrioles and the centrosome and the centrioles basically they help in what cell division. Let's just know that they form the mitotic spindle, which we are going to see in later course. So they help in formation of mitotic spindle during cell division. That's their function. So the tissue now, we are done with cell and the cell organelles. So tissue. So tissue, don't forget the combination of similar cells are cells with similar structures and functions. They give rise to tissue. Then tissue will don't forget different cells are coming together. That means unicellular cell will not have tissue. In fact, there are some multicellular cells like the sponges. They just have different cells. Their cells don't have perform the same structure. They do not perform the same function. They do not have the same structure. So in that case, we cannot refer to them as tissue. We just say they are multicellular, different cells. She get. So we now have four types of tissue. That's what we call the semen. Semen. The connective tissue, the muscular tissue, the epithelial tissue, and the nervous tissue. Connective tissue from the name. So let me just quickly brush through this. We are going to take them in the later course. So connective tissue basically it helps in maybe the connection of two things together. You have the bones, you have your cartilages, you have your tendons. Even the blood is a fluid connective tissue. She gets that's that for that. Then even your fat, your adipose. So connective tissue is the most abundant tissue in the body. Then you have the muscular tissues. You know what that is? The muscles. The epithelial tissue for covering and the secretion of stuff. So your epithelial tissue can now include something like maybe you can talk about the inner lining of the stomach that secretes what soft. Those are epithelial tissues. Then the nervous tissue from the what nervous system. You know that already. Okay, then we have the organ. The organ is a self-contained group of tissue that perform a specific function in the body. What are we talking about here? Tissue comes together. They perform all these tissues that come together. They make sure they are performing what a specific function in the body. So, for example, the heart. All the tissues in the heart they come together. These tissues may be performing different functions at all. She get, but they come together to be performing the function of what pumping blood. They deliver. They help in the in performing the function of number one secretion of bile. I hope you know that. That's they produce bile. The liver produce bile. So you get that means you have epithelial tissue in it. We can also have detoxification. That's another function from the liver. Do you get my point? That means your liver will have more what? More lysosome. You can reason that with me already. Then the stomach for secretion and mixing of stuff. We have muscles in the stomach today with muscular tissues. Then those tissues coming together to perform what? To form different organs in humans. So the next thing, we are still on the biological what level of organization. So the system now. An organ system is a group of organs that work together to perform a what certain function in an organism body. That's what a system. We have organs coming together to perform a certain function. For example, in the respiratory system now, we have the lungs, we have the trachea, all those guys, different organs coming together to perform what a certain function, respiration, digestion, different organs are coming together, circulation, that's the idea. So and there's most animals and plants have organs which are self-contained groups of tissues such as the heart that work together to perform one function. Humans and other mammals have many organ systems, many systems. Some people say about 11. Yeah. So an example of an organ system is a circulatory system, which includes the heart, arteries, veins, and capillaries. The human body has 11 different organ systems. Very important. The integumentary, skeletal, muscular, circulatory, respiratory, digestive, urinary, immune, nervous, endocrine, reproductive. Integumentary like skin, skeletal, the skeleton, muscular, the muscle, circulatory for circulation of blood and some other stuff. Respiration, you know what that is, digestion, urinary, urination, shey you get. Immune system, the immune system fighting and your antibodies fighting diseases and all. The nervous system for the control of the whole body. Endocrine system in the aspect of hormones. The reproductive system for what? The continuity of life. So you can just pause this video and look at this guy. Integumentary system is just everything I just explained. So you can just pause the video and then try to just look at study the table very well. Then to the next thing, the organism now. Don't forget what forms the organism, different organ system. There are also organisms that are not that does not have system that they have system but they don't have multiple cells, they don't have tissue, they don't have organ. Shey you get, but they have what? They have kind of cell, and those cells also have their system. They respire, they do all those things, but those systems are not as a result of what organ coming together. But the everything I've been explaining is in the aspect of what multicellular cells. They can now come to the ecological level of organization. So this refers to the level of organization that deals with ecology. Shey you get. When we are talking about ecology, you are going to get this better. But the level of organization now includes what? Population, community, ecosystem, biome, and biosphere. So you can use this mnemonic. This thing comes out a lot in your exam. You can say you should arrange it in the increasing kind of level, like from the simple to the complex. So population to community to ecosystem to biome or biosphere. So you can use the mnemonic pa, cool, enter, bus. Pa for population, cool for community, enter for ecosystem, bus for biome or biosphere. Do you get my point? So that's just that about that.